Okay, this is lesson 7-2. What we're looking at here is some fractions, basically. Make two halves, show different ways, shade half of each rectangle. So how can I cut these into two equal pieces, four different ways, shading one of those two? Again, this is very basic. When you get into third grade next year, you'll do more with fractions, but I do want to just talk about how a fraction looks. Again, it's made with a bar. The bottom number is called the denominator. How many pieces? The top number is called the numerator. How many am I referring to? How many are shaded? Now on page 306, you had all these little squares that you could cut out. So what you could do, I guess these are rectangles rather, is if you wish, you can kind of eyeball and cut these like we've done in our morning work before. Or you can take these and say, well, how can I fold this one time to give me two pieces that are equal? How many different ways could I do that? Well, I could do it this way. And that would be like a horizontal fold. And then I would go over here and kind of mimic that or copy what I just did. And they have a bunch that you cut out, but you really can just kind of use the same one and fold it. Let's see if I fold it and fold it another way here. Like that. And then what other ways could I fold this? Let's see, like that. I guess I could fold, this is kind of tricky, but I could fold like that to get a diagonal going this way. And then if it went this way, I would just go this way. So what I want you to do is to try to do these on your own. Thirds is going to be a little harder to fold because that's where you're going to take a paper like this and try to put kind of two folds in it, if you will. So you're kind of making an S is the easiest way to make thirds. And fold it. There you go, about 3 pieces. So it might even be easier to not use these. Just want to show you an option. Then you go here and you come back. If I come back to here to get 2, well, if I have 2 pieces from one fold, I'd want to throw another fold in there to make 4. And see how many fourths you can come up with. I'll let you do all those on your own and kind of show you the answers. The other side, basically the same thing, but now instead of a rectangle we have squares, even though I guess technically squares are rectangles. So these are pretty much repeated from the other side, except you're using the square. Then when you get down here, you can go back to these models again. And how could I fold this to where I would have equal size pieces for halves? Thirds are, again, are kind of hard to fold, so maybe try halves and fourths and then kind of eyeball thirds. So this right here kind of can help you on the other side too when you get into cutting into the fourths. So I'm going to go ahead and solve the rest of these and share with you what I get. And then, so pause here and come back and check your work, please. Okay, so here's what I got. And again, for some of these, you had more options that I might not have even listed. But half, 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 half. Down here, thirds are always tricky for me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 this way. And then if you think of making a triangle first, that's 1/3, and then these two would be a third too. 1, 1, 1. These don't quite look like they are equal, but I think that's just because I didn't draw it that great. Down here, there's a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth this way, a fourth that way. So when you get down here, I'm essentially cutting it in half first here, and then diagonaling a half. On the other side, more of the same. Half, 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 third, third. There's that triangle again for thirds, thirds. Make 4 equal shares, show different ways, shade a fourth of each square, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, a fourth, and this is where you're kind of diagonaling a half, if you will. So again, once you have a half, if you cut that half another 2 times, you're going to have fourths. Fourths here, fourths here, fourths here. When you get to the circle, the half is pretty easy. You half a half to get a fourth. And again, the thirds are kind of tricky. I think of like a peace sign without that bottom. And then I found this to be very difficult to explain, even though I would look at this and kind of see that this portion here is equal to this portion. So I didn't use the number 3 at all. And my thinking was just the diagonal shows that 2 out of 4 pieces is the same, equivalent, equal to 4 out of 8. So we did do a little bit of equivalent fractions on our morning work, if you remember that, but the way fractions work, which is kind of confusing, is as the numbers get larger, the pieces might get smaller, will get smaller, so you can have 2/4 here being the same as 4/8. So that's it. Do your best on this stuff. We're almost done.